All right, what's up, Buck fans? It's RBT back again with another live stream, and this time we have a special guest. We have Chad Forbes from NFL Draft Bites, and of course, my usual guest, co-host, Michael Pless is with us. So, Chad, let everyone know what you do, what you like to do, and where they can find you.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at NFL Draft Bites. And
what's up, Buck fans? It's RBT.
I cover the NFL with mostly a focus on the draft, free agency. And give me a follow on Twitter. I love to engage my audience. So if you want to talk anything, just slide into my DMs.
Cool. So obviously we have you here because there was a little bit of news in the offseason. The Bucs signed a pretty big free agent in Tom Brady. So you are all about NFL everything. So what kind of an impact will Tom Brady have on this Bucs roster, Bucs team, and just Bucs draft? Everything Bucs.
You know, a lot of moving parts. You're going to have to shape the team around TB12 and go in that direction. Arians is going to have to adapt his offense to accommodate really what is Tom Brady's skill set at 43 years old, and it'll definitely impact the draft. I think you're going to see a heavy offensive draft, getting an offensive tackle, running back, probably a wide receiver in the later rounds, maybe a pass rusher, some depth on the offensive line. So the defense really made some strides at the end of last year under Todd Bowles, and now it's about getting Bruce Arians' offense up to speed, and he's got obviously the GOAT to do it.
That's pressing. So before we get into the draft real quick, so you said he's going to have to, I guess, cater his offense to Brady. So do you not think he can throw the ball deep, or do you just think you're going to see a lot more like screens, short, quick passes, or is that just something Brady will do himself based off of decision making?
You can see more short, intermediate passing game driven towards the middle of the field, less boundary sideline throws. They've got some big body guys. That I don't think there's going to be necessarily a huge need for like the undersized slot receiver you saw up in New England. Guys like Mike Evans and Godwin can go in the slot and win, and they've got some depth at wide receiver. And then obviously the tight ends can really help you control the middle of the field. So I think it's that to start. And then, once you can get the running game hopefully more established, which you should if you get a better running back in there. I don't really believe in Ronald Jones. You should be able to take some deep shots down the field out of play action. And the question is going to be Brady, his movement skills, and how you want to get that running game going out of probably more of a shotgun-based offense. But there's just loads of talent there. You see why he was attracted to coming down to Tampa and joining Bruce Arians.
So, I mean, you're not a big fan of Ronald Jones?
Ronald Jones is heading quick towards being a bust.
Really?
Oh, I mean, he is such a...
Oops. You still with us, Chad?
Oh, did we lose Chad?
We may have lost him, but I guess go on. Why would you think he thinks it's a bust?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting point. I mean, I think, Rojo, I mean, maybe it's just, I don't know, something the way he runs or I don't know. I thought he was coming on stronger towards the end of the year. But, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how high they take a running back, in this year's draft. That'll be fun to watch just to see if they value, a certain guy that high and, maybe he would take over for Ronald. I don't know. But I like the way Rojo is progressing, but maybe he's missing more yards on the field. I mean, as far as vision goes, maybe he's not seeing it correctly. Maybe that's something Chad sees. I don't know. We know the pass protection is not good. It needs to be better. Catching the ball is okay.
This is all like a different perspective too. This is someone who covers all of the Bucs.
Right.
Rendak said Mark hung up on him because he couldn't because he badmouthed Rojo. No, I honestly didn't. But I'll call him back right now. Another thing, guys, he can't hear Pless, so I'm going to be relaying everything. So if Pless says something, I just redo it. I'm sorry, guys. Mm-hmm. But let's give him a call back and see what the heck happened. Maybe I did hang up on him. I don't know. But let's see if we can get him back on the phone. I don't agree with it either, but I think how can you call someone a bust after 2 years?
Yeah, right.
Or actually a year. His first year didn't do anything. Let's see. Hopefully answer. If he doesn't answer, on to the next.
Hey, sorry about that. I lost you.
Chad, we're back on. Don't worry. So, yeah, we're actually talking about it before I lost you about. You called Ron Jones. People want to call him Ron Jones because Brady called him Ron. A bust already after pretty much only starting a year. He didn't get play under Dirk Cutter, and now he only has a year where he actually had kind of backup position behind Peyton Barber. And you're very strong in that bust title.
I think going back to when we go back to the draft, there were some questions coming out with his maturity questions and just how he handled the whole draft process. Lingered into his rookie year, and if a guy who's drafted that high in the second round can't beat out Peyton Barber, he's got some issues.
Well, he ended up beating him out at the end of the year. Well, another reason why I like doing this is just it's different perspective, hearing what other people think about the Bucs too.
I guess if you're looking internally and you're Bruce Arians and you're Jason List, you're saying running back's a huge need. I don't think it's something you can wait to let be addressed on maybe day 3 of the draft. I think it's got to be a day 2 priority.
Oh, I kind of agree with that too. And I agree with the offensive line as well because our right tackle hole. But, Mike, I'll let you get a question in because you're just standing there, and I'll relay it.
Yeah, I was going to say, speaking of running backs, what would be his rankings as far as, RB goes? What would be the best running back fit?
If you're not established as a running back in the NFL by the 3rd year in the league, you're going to have your replacement getting drafted onto the roster pretty soon.
Yeah, so that was his question. So, what is, considering the draft, where do you see priority of draft picks? Where do you see running back being taken? I know you said second day. Would you say 2nd round, 3rd round? And then how would you rank them for the Bucs according to what Brady would like too?
I think 2nd round is where the running backs are going to start to go off the board, the DeAndre Swift, the Dobbins, and if you risk it, wait until 75 unless they can possibly work a trade down from 14, maybe get back in the end of the 2nd round. You could see all the guys gone by 75. So I think right there at 45 or somewhere in the 2nd round spot to add one. Clyde Edwards-Helaire really fits well under Kevin Falk at LSU, has a lot of those similarities in the passing game. Tough between the tackles runner. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Maurice Jones-Drew. I also think DeAndre Swift and J.K. Dobbins would be really good options. I think the Dolphins are really keyed in on J.K. Dobbins. So if you want to get him, you're going to have to get ahead of them at 39. Swift might end up going ahead of 39. So there at 45, Clyde Edwards-Helaire makes some sense. I've heard Cam Akers tied to the Bucs really since early in the fall. And then a name that I've heard late on them, and he's kind of like a multi-dimensional player, is Memphis' Antonio Gibson.
Yeah. You think he's going to go day 2, though?
I don't see Antonio. I mean, it's interesting, Gibson, because he's got 75 or so college touches, excluding the return game. He went to the combine, had a freak workout. Then you turn on those 75 touches, you're just really blown away, and you're starting to hear some subtle Alvin Kamara comparisons where he might have been a little bit, kind of behind a few guys on the depth chart, but when he got his chance to show it, he did. So he's a really tantalizing player for somebody that wants to play a little bit more of like a positionless football where you could put him at running back and you can also motion him out into the slot, and he can then provide some value in the return game. He's a really interesting player. Not necessarily sure the Buccaneers will take kind of a risk on him because it'd be a little rich there at 45, but I think more kind of a Clyde Edwards-Helaire is probably the fit, or Cam Akers from Florida State.
I think we're both with you on the Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Agreed.
We just did a video breakdown of him. I mean, I didn't even know Kevin Falk was their running backs coach, I'm assuming?
He's on the staff at LSU, and he's really been all throughout the draft process saying the kid's just kind of like his, I guess, mentee and really just very high on him.
I mean, that's another Patriots alum, I guess you would say, or just loophole. But let's move on to the draft. Obviously, we're already talking about it, but I wanted to bring up this point. So you had a tweet out there saying about how his interesting draft season rumor. Vikings looking to trade up to the 1st round for a wide receiver. Interested in Buccaneer slot 14th overall to move ahead of Broncos. Believe target one of the consensus top wide receivers. I'd bet it's CeeDee Lamb. So elaborate more on that. Do you think it is possible they come up to 14? And how much would the price tag be? And if the Bucs are trading back, does that mean just their guy's not there, or they just want more draft capital?
See, just based on how the draft will flow, I think the tackles are going to be off the board by 14. So I think you'll see a run on tackles starting at either 4 or 6, where the 4 top consensus tackles will be off the board. And then I think you see a run on wide receivers starting somewhere around 9. Now, obviously, the Broncos are in on wide receivers. The Jets at 11 are there. Raiders at 12. So the Vikings, and I heard this before the injury news on Brandon Ayuk came out, so the league had already kind of reacted to the fact that he would need core muscle surgery, and that takes one of the round one wide receivers that would be there for the Vikings at 22 kind of off their board. And if CeeDee Lamb somehow makes it down to the Bucs at 14 and you say one of the offensive tackles you like isn't there, it makes some sense to slide down to 22 and pick up an extra second.
So you think it'd be just a first and their first and their second, not their two firsts? Because they have 2 first-round picks, right?
No, I mean, maybe they'd be willing to part with that, and then you'd have to send back 45, or they could get creative. But I see something more like the Vikings send 22 and 58, or 22-58, one of their late 7th-round picks. I think that would be fair value, especially for the Buccaneers, who could really use an extra second-round pick to address not only running back, but I think they're also looking at some of the young quarterbacks like Jacob Eason, and maybe a potential developmental pass rusher. If beyond this year you don't think you can keep Shaq Barrett. A name I've got heard there numerous times, really all through the fall, was Josh Uche from Michigan. Is a guy that they're very high on.
Yeah, I'm really high on him as well. Quick question. So if the wide receiver is there, obviously you think the offensive tackle position is what the Bucs are looking at. If they trade down, are they just trying to get, I guess, the 5th best offensive tackle? Because you're saying like the top 4 will probably be gone. Is that what they're going to target?
There's definitely a tier 1 group, and I'm not necessarily high on all 4 of the guys, be it Tristan Wirfs, Jedrick Wills, Andrew Thomas, and Mekhi Becton. Specifically the latter. I don't love Becton, but everything you're hearing is that he's going to go in the top half of the first round. So if you're the Buccaneers sitting at 14, those 4 guys are gone. That, just kind of by process of elimination of the top prospects in this draft, there's going to be a wide receiver there. And if there's not, then you can probably have to look at a defensive player, because I just don't think, and I know they're high on Josh Jones from Houston, but I just don't see that being a value selection at 14th overall. So if you get there and you're lit and you're sitting on the clock and it's a defensive tackle like Javon Kinlaw or a wide receiver, you got to be answering phone calls from either the Jaguars, the Vikings, somebody trying to come up.
Very true. I mean,
yeah, I would agree with that. Chad,
has a question coming up.
Yeah, Chad, I would ask, like, if the Bucs can't go tackle first round, I mean, does that mean they have to go 1 in the second round, or do you see this offensive tackle class being strong enough where you could get one, in the 3rd round or later that could be starter quality?
So Mike had a question, just if the Bucs can't get a first-round pick offensive tackle, how deep do you see this offensive tackle class? Like, do you see them going 2nd round? And how much value do you see in the offensive tackle class this year?
It's a very good group, and the question is, how quickly do they come off the board? And if you're at 14 and one of your guys doesn't make it down to you, you can't assume one will make it to 45, whether it's an Ezra Cleveland, Isaiah Wilson from Georgia, or Austin Jackson from USC. I see Austin Jackson going in the 1st round, and I think you just look at the need around the league. It's a tackle right now. It's a premium position. Yeah. Guys like Jack Conklin getting paid $14 million a year. It's just, I think you look at most teams in the league, really, they have needed tackle, whether it's in 2020 or 2021. So I don't think you can just sit there and say, we're going to take another position and then hope a tackle makes it to us at 45. And if you do that, then you're probably sitting in a situation where one of the running backs you like won't make it to you at 76. So somehow you have to find a way to maneuver the board a little bit if you can't get your tackle at 14 and still find a way to fill those big needs.
That's true.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
Yeah, so, all right, moving on. So what you mentioned a lot of other names of like guys that the Bucs are looking at. What other high names do you see, like possible 1st-round picks or just anywhere down the line?
I think they've taken a hard look at Javon Kinlaw from South Carolina. His defensive line coach is Todd Bowles. They go way back, and I think just kind of to talk about it big picture, the Buccaneers have not been over the last probably 4 or 5 years very good at hiding who they're interested in. It's like throughout the fall, it's pretty evident who they're on to, and it tends to manifest itself on draft day. So I bring up like a guy like Uche as a round 2 target. That's pretty much in stone. Everybody knows they like him. They like Cam Akers. They like Hilaire. Even down to the round 5 and 6, you hear guys like Shaq Quarterman, the linebacker from the U. So it's like you kind of know where the Bucs are looking every year. Your Jacob Eason really back to early in the fall before he even declared. The Bucs ran on him, big guy, arm talent. That could be a developmental quarterback. So it's with the Bucs. It's like you know who their guys are, and it's just always interesting to see how Jason Litz tries to go about bringing them onto the roster.
Yeah, we are huge fans of Javon Kinlaw, and like if one of those offensive tackles aren't there, I would not be upset at all. I'd be extremely happy if they ran to not run to the podium. They would run to the voice conference or wherever the hell they're going to do and say Javon Kinlaw is my pick, Jason Light with his kids running around, jumping in the pool. But, yeah, we just did another film study on him as well. I think we're big on him. But also, yeah, you mentioned how the Bucs are very, I guess they give away who they want. And we had you on last year as well, and you were raving about how they really like Devin White. That's going to be the pick if he's there at 5. And when he is there at 5, and he's a gold jacket type of player, which I'm going to say right now, good call. But, I mean, so pretty much you're saying Jacob Eason, Cam Akers, Javon Kinlaw, guys like that, or guys that you already have heard are the kind of the top guys for the Bucs.
Yeah, and I heard also they like Josh Jones, the tackle from Houston. And
yeah.
I'm not necessarily sure that he's not their fourth tackle because everybody's making this assumption that there's this first tier of tackles and everybody sees it that way, every team around the league. I don't necessarily think that's the case because if you like one of them and think that he fits your scheme, not all 4 are going to be good fits. And Josh Jones, he's not the 21-year-old underclassman with huge upside, but he really did have a great senior year, especially in pass protection on the left side. I think he could switch over to the right side. And I just don't. I think 14 would be too rich. You'd be really deviating from your board there. But you move down to 22 or 25. Josh Jones would really make a lot of sense.
Yeah, speaking of the Vikings pick. So we had a question on the YouTube chat. They were wondering if Kinlaw could even make it to 14 overall for the Bucs, and then would you take an offensive tackle over defensive tackle or defensive end at 14 if, say, one of those presumed number 4 or top 4 offensive tackles are there for the Bucs?
What you're hearing about Kinlaw is there was medical questions on the knee at the Senior Bowl, and you have read in the reports recently that have come out about how his story of really overcoming some adversity in his life, being homeless in his past. But then you also heard that he's a junior college transfer that showed up on campus at South Carolina and slept through meetings, wasn't on time. It's very rare to see a coach like Will Muschamp, who obviously his bread and butter is recruiting, right, to come out and not be extremely positive about his guys. It's almost like he's qualifying his endorsement of Javon Kinlaw. And I think the league saw that and said, whoa, that's concerning. So I could see him making it to 14. And obviously, Bowles has a connection to Muschamp and that staff in South Carolina. Maybe they pull the trigger and say, we've got the right room for him. We could put him with Sue, we could put him with JPP, and he'll learn the ropes, and he'll be a great player for us. And I really think the 2 teams that are kind of in on him are the Cardinals and the Buccaneers there in the top 14. The Jaguars, I think, are looking too, but I could see him easily falling to 14. I could actually see him falling all the way to 20 if things don't work out well for him in this kind of pre-draft process. And we won't know much because teams aren't having private visits, right? So we're not getting to see where really the interest is. But I think a lot of teams are doing a little bit of FaceTime with him and trying to figure out what type of kid he is and how important football is to him.
So what about the 49ers who are right in front of us? They just traded away their defensive tackle. Do you think they would be an option too or no?
I do. I think the 49ers would take a look and again say, do we have the right culture where he can come in and fit into our defensive line room? I don't think the 49ers go in that direction at 13. I think they're going to try to move down from there. It's going to be hard to, probably harder to move down from 13 than it will be from the end of the first round at 31, but they don't have any second, third, or fourth round picks. So they're going to try to reaccumulate some draft capital. That's a given. At 13, I could see the 49ers going Kinlaw. I could also see Derek Brown making it outside the top 10, maybe to 12, 13. So it'll be interesting to see how this draft falls. I just see an early run on the offensive tackles. I don't see those guys really making it outside the top 11. And then I think the wide receiver discussion will start somewhere around 9. And that's why I've just heard these rumors about somebody looking to trade up with the Buccaneers, because if the Broncos are going to try to sit there and wait for their guy to fall into their lap, there could be a team that wants to move right ahead of them.
I'd be very happy if that scenario played out, if I'm being honest. But Mike had a question. Since you can't hear me, we're chatting it up. What do you think about Caleb Von Chason? Is there any rumors of him to the Bucs, or what do you think of him as a player as well?
Chason's probably the second best pass rusher in this draft. 1 year production, a torn ACL in 2018. Not great length. If you wanted to compare kind of his build, you'd really say it's very similar to Shaquille Barrett, where he's a guy that's going to have to win with speed and bend, not necessarily power. Could it make some sense? Sure, but I don't see them. I don't see them being in on him. It'd be kind of like a redshirt year as you try to develop him in behind Shaq Barrett for the idea that Barrett's gone after this season. And I just think that, we mentioned earlier in the chat, they brought in Tom Brady. The offense has got to be the focus. You got to get that right. And I think offensive tackle over Chasen just makes so much more sense. And, even if you can't trade down, say you're stuck at 14, maybe one of the tackles falls to you, but even not, it might make most sense just to take Josh Jones there if you believe he can provide a pass-blocking solution for you at right tackle.
Do you think he's, in your opinion, one of those guys that would be worth the value at 14?
I don't have him in my top 20 players. I've got him like somewhere around 28 or 29th right now. I don't have a first-round grade on him, but I do see that he has projectable upside in terms of being a good pass protector. I don't see much out of him in the run game that I would like to see. He's not the run blocker of the other guys in this draft, whether it's Wills or Becton or Andrew Thomas or even Wirfs. Those guys are in a tier of their own. So I think the ideal situation is, one of those guys that you like falls to you at 14, but if not, you might have to make a really tough decision and say, do we want to go with, as you mentioned, a guy like Chase on a guy like Kinlaw, or do we want to make what I would call sometimes be the mature decision and say, let's hit a double here and take a Josh Jones.
Hit a double. Hit a double in the first round. But
yeah, and if you're going to go on Tom Brady, though, you're going to have to hit a double, because if you don't protect him at right tackle, and I don't really believe in Joe Haig, and certainly don't want to think they need to bring back DeMar Dotson. And I think Josh Jones, what you like about him is that he can immediately contribute. He's not a developmental guy. The Austin Jacksons, Ezra Cleveland's, even Isaiah Wilson from Georgia, those other Tier 2 tackles have some developmental time they're going to need, where Josh Jones is the guy that comes in right for you day one and he can start.
Well, with that said, Plus has a couple questions coming, but if at 14 you value him as a 25 or lower player, so do I. Wouldn't you think it'd be a better positional value to take something else or trade back to get more draft capital? It's
absolutely.
It's one thing
absolutely.
to
absolutely on the trade
Brady,
back scenario.
Right? Yeah, so am I. But it's one thing to draft for Brady, but it's also drafting for your team, because Brady's here presumably 2 years. And if he wins the Super Bowl this year, all Bucs Nation would pray and hope that happens. You never know what the second year would be. So, I'm more for building for the future.
Let's just say hypothetically, right?
Okay,
if the quarterbacks, maybe two of the quarterbacks, maybe Herbert and Love make it to 14, are you in on them?
No, considering we have Brady,
right.
I'm more, we have all the weapons, we have something that's instilled already.
Right, so you're not in on quarterbacks, you're not in on running backs or wide receivers. Now let's say the 4 tackles are gone. Ideal situation is one of them make it to you. There's no interior guys worth it. Do you want to take another interior defensive lineman like Kinlaw? Maybe. You're not going to take one of the inside linebackers after last year. You could take a Chase on. He fits a need, maybe matched up to value. And there's no safety worth that pick. And cornerback, I think that's probably the one position where you've got enough youth and talent.
Yeah, with me, I would run to the table for Kinlaw, just because, Sue signed a 1-year deal. He's already getting older. The defensive tackle position, he's getting his wear and tear. Kinlaw can learn, like you said earlier, and just mature. And then, it all starts in the trenches. If you can dominate against the run, and Kinlaw is a pass rusher as well, where we can dominate on the defensive end, Brady just has to do enough to win.
I agree with you. I guess as you mentioned, maybe the 49ers take Kinlaw ahead of you, and then
that'd be the scary part.
4 tackles are gone, Kinlaw's gone, and then you're kind of sitting at 14, and you really got to get out. So I ultimately think that if Litch is smart, he'll find a way to move out of 14 unless one of the tackles makes it to him. And I think that'll position him best to address the other needs, which are running back, edge rusher in the second round, and then probably a quarterback coming back in. I think they're going to somehow get their hands on Jacob Eason, and I think moving down from 14 to accumulate some picks will help you find a way to also get Jacob Eason along with the pass rusher who's developmental, maybe an Uchi, and then also the running back that you think can come in and really immediately contribute.
True. And then mentioning quarterbacks, these are all plus questions. These are good things. So how many quarterbacks go top 10?
2.
And it's just Tua and Joe Burrow?
Tua and Joe Burrow, or Joe Burrow and Herbert. 2 out of the 4 will go in the top 10.
Okay. Do you think the injury concerns of Tua would probably drop him?
No, I think the Dolphins want Tua, and I think they've been kind of dancing around it all because they don't want to have to give up all of the draft picks they've accumulated over the last year to move up ahead of them. And they know the Chargers are sitting behind him with a new stadium opening and probably like Tua also. But ultimately, I see the Dolphins moving up, whether it's to 4 with the Giants or to box out the Chargers or all the way up to 3. I don't think they want to give up the ransom the Lions are asking for.
True. And then, so also, how much has this pandemic hurt the unsigned free agents because of lack of physicals? I'm assuming that means Jameis Winston and his meniscus tear, or just any free agent in general.
You saw the free agents go early, and I think a lot of the guys are available right now, whether it's a Logan Ryan, a Clowney, or a Winston, are probably having some difficulty coming to grips with what their market looks like. They were probably promised the moon by their agents, and the dust settled, and the $10 million a year offer isn't there for Logan Ryan. The $20 million a year offer isn't there for Clowney. So I think that really has more of a factor, as the teams that would have been interested in those players at probably what their markets are today have already allocated their money for the offseason. They're not going to go to ownership right now and say, I need more money, when the owner's saying, I don't even know if we're going to have a season. So I think the money's gotten a little bit tighter due to the pandemic, and I think people are taking a lot more of a cautious approach. You've seen it really with the Raiders. I mean, they gave out these contracts with guarantees but no signing bonuses, basically saying, we don't know if there's going to be a season, and we're not going to give you any cash until we know there is one.
I fully agree with that. I mean, because a lot of people are like saying that's why Winston's not signed, because he had surgery. But then again, Todd Gurley, no one knows about his damn knees, and he signed immediately with the Falcons, probably a day after, not even 24 hours after. And Jameis pretty much performed everything you wanted to see. He just had a minuscule meniscus surgery that it was more of a scope than anything. So,
and don't forget he had the LASIK surgery too, right?
Oh, touche. But, I mean, I think it's more...
Imagine that your team sends you to get LASIK surgery and then kicks you to the curb for the 43-year-old GOAT.
Well, there's a reason why you got the GOAT.
I believe that's the definition of don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Yeah. Well, I got to ask. Do you think there's any possibility he comes back as a backup to Brady? Or do you think he really wants that money?
No. What you're hearing is that Jameis, and it really behooves him to wait till after the draft and see where the best situation fit for him is. It's not like he's missing OTAs or really any install at this point. And after the draft, there'll be a lot more certainty on what the Chargers have done at quarterback, where the Patriots have gone direction-wise. Do the Saints, are they looking for a backup quarterback? And what you're hearing just through the tea leaves is that Jameis has gotten pretty serious about what his number is going to be, what he's going to make. And it's not going to be anywhere near the close to $20 million he made last year. It's going to be more in the $8 million a year range, where he's going to have an opportunity to kind of rebuild his stock, hopefully with an established offensive coordinator. And the team that's circling, I think it's just everybody knows the Patriots are saying, he could be a bargain for us. And you hear all this, we love Jarrett Stidham, but I think if they don't come out of the draft with a quarterback, they might circle back on Jameis.
I mean, let's see if he'd even want to come back, right? But before I let you go, I had one more question about one of your latest tweets about, let's see, where it is. Okay, why does it seem like the losers are always having jersey reveals? Last four I can remember: the Buccaneers, first team, Jets, Browns, Jaguars. An insight: try winning, they'll sell jerseys quite effectively.
I guess this is the get off my lawn portion of the broadcast, right? I guess I'm not really into the we've got a new great jersey, come buy it at our pro shop attitude of NFL teams. And I don't know. I think the Buccaneers came out with their new jersey. I don't know. Maybe the kids like it. I don't really see much of a difference, and I kind of like the old school orange they had going anyway. So if you're going to do it, it's kind of like the logo that came out for the LA teams. If you're going to do it, at least do it right.
Yeah, I think they just admitted defeat when they came out with their new ones, and they just went back to what they pretty much had already, which is working. And now,
what I did think was interesting was Godwin was one of the guys that was showcased in his new number 14.
Yeah, that was cool to actually see it there first too. And he's pretty much the face. If you're providing him, Devin White, and Levante David, that's pretty cool. All right, other than that, thank you, Chad, for everything, all the insight, all the names you dropped, and the work you do over the year just to give us stuff like this. But before I let you go, give everyone a shout out and tell them where they can find you.
Guys, you can find me on Twitter at NFL Draft Fights, and if you don't like what I'm saying, you can just tweet at me, and hopefully we'll have a good competitive discussion. So thanks for the time, guys, and hopefully we'll do this again soon.
Awesome, Chad. Thank you, Chad. Awesome. But I guess I'm going to give a little plug to our Facebook group. Come join. we're going live. Other than that, we are back. And plus, now that people can hear you,
Right.
what did you think of everything that he said?
No, I mean, there's a lot of interesting things brought up. I mean, he makes a great point as far as the trade back scenario, especially if he says it's correct as far as the top 4 offense tackles being gone. But it looks like there's going to be options, whether it be Kinlaw or maybe Derek Brown potentially sliding there at 14. And I'm with you. I would not hesitate taking Javon Kinlaw or Derek Brown if available. But, I can see it where, teams are going to be looking to move up, like you said, the Vikings. But I would worry about, the 49ers maybe wanting to trade back too. So would the Vikings try to deal with them instead of us, stuff like that. But, yeah, I mean, I'd be fine trading back and getting more picks like he said. I'm not sure on the Jacob Eason, but I know that has been a hot topic throughout the offseason. It seems like the Bucs really do like him. So I agree with as far as the running back situation goes, as far as Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Cam Akers. I like them a lot, so I wouldn't be mad about that at all. But yeah, I mean, Josh Jones, I mean, that's interesting. He brings him up, but I wouldn't take him at 14. I would be kind of disappointed in that. Hopefully they can trade down and then, take him later, around in the 20s or so, and get extra picks. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, I'd be very upset if we took Josh Jones at 14.
Right.
But, I mean, in one fashion, he's right about us giving away who the hell we're going to take at 14 or at our first-round pick.
Right.
But to be honest, after our first-round pick, you don't know anyone. I mean,
right.
They never give away anything. I mean, I hope they're looking at Nate Stanley, the guy that they looked at in the combine.
Right. I like
later.
Yeah, I like he said Josh Uche as well.
Yeah,
I really like him.
That name too.
Yeah, so that would be a good pick. But again, I mean, it kind of tends to seem like they're going to try to make some trades, especially with the guys that he was mentioning. If these targets for the Bucs, I mean, they're going to need more draft picks than what they currently have.
So, I mean, my thing is, so let's actually jump into, before we keep talking, everyone's probably here for the jersey reveal. So let me actually bring up the jersey reveal, what it looks like. And this is one of my favorite pictures of what I saw. Levante David looking like a monster.
Yeah,
so pretty much, what are your initial thoughts of it? And I kind of said it was just a throwback to what it was before, but what do you think?
No, I think it's very clean. Again, it's a nice look. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the Super Bowl uniforms, basically. I do like the pewter rush, or the pewter color. Yeah, that's very nice. And I like the all white, obviously with the red. And they can mix and match with those colors, so I think that's really good.
The pewter rush is legit. I'm not going to lie. That is a badass look.
It's very clean, yeah. And it would look great, especially on Sunday night games and stuff like that.
And I'm pretty sure that Chris Godwin picked that as the one he was like, oh, that's my go-to. Like, I remember when they said, oh, which one do you like? 1, 2, or 3? He's like, oh, my 3's my dog. Like, I don't know what he said, but he said 3 was like his favorite. And I fully agree that one caught my eye the most. Yeah, because the red and the white, we've seen that before. I mean, really, their big selling point is, oh, the Buccaneers here is different, and now the pirate ship is over here. I mean, really, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing, but different logo. I mean, it's a little different, ship as far as the flag and stuff. But yeah, I mean, very similar to the Super Bowl uniforms, and I like it. I think it's a good look. I don't think they should ever been changed, so I like that it's brought back. And they even have the orange in there as far as, outlining the numbers. And, I think it's something that they can continue to build off of if they want to add more jerseys down the line.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, my biggest thing is I agree with you that I didn't really want to change it. I wanted to keep it how I didn't think it needed to be changed.
Right.
It brings everyone to the mind of, oh, this was a winning team, winning culture, because when we wore that, we pretty much were winning every year, or at least our defense was nasty.
Yeah.
I do love that Chad Forbes mentioned Javon Kinlaw. If he's there at 14, the connection he said, Muschamp and Todd Bowles, I wouldn't even hesitate for a second. I mean, I go.
I agree.
I mean, I thought my argument was good. He agreed with it and didn't really have a rebuttal. And yes, I think you can just take an offensive tackle second round. If he mentioned all these names of offensive tackles and you don't believe in Joe Haig, okay, well, just give me someone who can do a good job of pass blocking. Yes, if Jedrick Wills is there, take him. I mean, to me, he's the best offensive tackle in this draft. And if he falls just based on, he doesn't have the potential that Mekhi Becton or Tristan Wirfs has, I don't know why people put them so high. I guess it's just based off of potential.
Yeah, it's potential.
I'm more of I see what I see, and I want that playing on my field on Sunday.
Right. Yeah, I really like Andrew Thomas. I think if he's available at 14, I think that's a good pick. Jedrick Wills as well. But again, I think it goes to what Chad was saying about how many offensive tackles are going to go first round. And, I think we had, 7 in our mock draft that we did. So it just depends on how many are going to go in that first round. I mean,
you pretty much named 7.
Yeah, I mean, how long can you wait? That's the thing. So I don't think you can wait very long. If you get to the third round and you still need a tackle, I mean, you might be reaching a little bit, but might just have to force it and take one because the quality is going to continue to go down as these guys get taken. So yes, it's a deep class, but you want a starter ready guy to put in there. So especially with Brady being here, and I agree with them as far as you want to put the best around Brady as you can, but you also have to do what's best for the team, like you said. And I think if Kinlaw is there, I think that'd be a great pick.
And my other argument is, okay, if you say it's so deep, give me the best pass blocker. So everyone's saying, we need to throw 5-step, 7-step drops. Then give me the best pass blocker that's available at that position. I mean, Tristan Wirfs is not a good pass blocker right now. Why would you want him at number 14, even if he did fall? Jedrick Wills is the best pass blocker, in my opinion, and he just doesn't have the biggest size. If he falls because of that and he's at 14, I'd be happy as hell.
Right. But, I mean, and I think that's why Josh Jones gets brought up in the conversation as well, because he is a great pass blocker. He is one of the top pass blockers in this class. He knows how to do it well, and he can probably play both sides and probably be a future left tackle if needed, if you're not going to bring back Donovan Smith. So, yeah, I could easily see Josh Jones being in consideration, but that's after, potentially trading back, maybe down to 22.
Staying on draft coverage, we have a question in the chat. I can't pronounce that first name, buddy. I'm sorry. It's Exclu Garvey. I believe that's what it is. He said, how would Isaiah Simmons look in this defense?
It would be fun to have him, but I see him being one of those top 10 guys. I doubt he makes it past 12. He's really good, freak athlete, and he can do a lot of different things. He'd be fun to have because I know Todd Bowles and how he likes to have those chess piece type of players, and Isaiah Simmons is definitely one of those. You put him with Devin White and Levante David, that's a lot of speed to work with, and the guy can play in the slot as well. Cover tight ends, do it all. So it'd be really fun, but I doubt he makes it to our pick.
I doubt he makes it to our pick, as well as, he's a linebacker / safety, so that's usually a strong safety.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we have a lot of those. We don't have many free safeties. We don't have guys that cover space.
Right.
I feel like Isaiah Simmons, based on his size in general, he'd be better closer to the line. Again, on tight ends, man on man, so damn big, so damn fast. Use him that way, but I think this defense is more about the front seven, and he could fit in there, but it'd be a tricky one. But I just don't think he'll be there available, and I just don't think he's what we really need right now, kind of thing.
Right.
All right, real quick, I want more looking at the uniforms, just showing how that pewter one was the number 3 option. Devin White has his eyes set on that red.
Yeah.
But, it's cool that, the Bucs media, I got to give them their kudos, their hurrahs.
Do a great job.
Yeah, they're damn good. Even that little video, it came out literally at 1 o'clock exactly.
Scheduled tweet.
Right, and I sent it out. But it's like, that's cool. Like, just the hyping it, letting your best players see it. And again, it was the 3 that saw it prior that put on the jerseys and advertised it for all Bucs Nation. And then this, if no one's seen it, probably everyone's seen it if they saw our Twitter. I mean, look how legit that is. I love that damn. Everything I love is based on the past, but oof.
Yeah, I just think it fits very well, especially with the helmet too. I think that's all really they needed to upgrade was the helmet, and they did a great job with that. And now these uniforms really match, well with the helmet. I think it all syncs very well, and blends together very nicely.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it again. It's just very clean, very like how Bruce Arians said. It's very classic. But also, I wanted to bring up this little story about. It's not just the uniform with Lavonte David. This is a story about Lavonte and Tom Brady. He said how what does Tom Brady bring? He brings just a winning mentality, an attitude, knowing what it takes to get there. And this is what your teammate, one of your pretty much the longest longevity Buccaneer right now, saying these things.
Right.
And then all the guys in the locker room want. That's what everybody wants is just to win. Win it all. I mean, the perfect guy for us. Why? Because I know a lot of guys are leaning on him. I know we got a lot of guys in our locker room who would love to soak up knowledge. I mean, this is things you want to hear about an up-and-coming team. If y'all haven't read this yet, obviously Buccaneers.com. Check it out. It's not just the jerseys. It's Lavonte David just, I guess, drooling over what Tom Brady can bring. Him itching for the playoffs. Hasn't been there in a long time. He's been here 8 years. Hasn't done it. Just, I mean, pretty much everything we've kind of said about how Brady's going to be bringing all this winning mentality. He's the winningest everything. And he's coming to a team that hasn't won. I think it's the losingest franchise in NFL history right now.
Yeah, most losing sports franchise.
So, I mean, do you agree with him? Do you see, like, Brady was the perfect answer for us?
Yeah, I agree. I think what Brady's going to bring is going to be bigger. It's going to be bigger off the field as far as his impact goes. I think his impact in the locker room, impact in the meetings, impact just talking with players on the practice field. I think his impact is going to come Monday through Saturday. And then Sunday is just going to be more easy because of that, because of what he's bringing week to week. So the preparation, I think, is going to be his biggest asset going forward for this season, especially with what we're dealing with right now. I think that's going to have the biggest impact because he's going to make sure these guys are ready come Sunday, where Sunday is pretty much the easy part because of how hard they prep during the week. And I think that's going to make a huge impact. Guys are going to understand, like, this is their job now. This is important. They're going to have that winning mentality because he instills it in them. So it's really going to be awesome to see how guys mature and how these younger guys really take a step forward. You look at, like, the secondary, like Jamel Dean, Sean Murphy-Bunting, Carlton Davis, all those guys on defense, I think, are going to take a step forward. But then the young guys on offense, like your Scotty Millers, even Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, all those guys, I think, are going to take steps forward. The offensive linemen, I think, are going to take steps forward. So it's really good we as Bucs fans, we don't know what we're getting into right now because he's going to bring something completely different that we really haven't seen as far as the franchise goes, at least not till going back to our Super Bowl days, I would say.
I mean, this kind of brings me to this question. So he kind of put out there saying, this team's young, it's hungry, it just wants, I guess, answers or just wants to win, correct? Right. So to the crowd that said, oh, Jameis Winston was our quarterback to get us to where we need to be, and he was a winner, blah, blah, blah. What do you say when Lavonte David's saying, okay, well, we just want to win, we want to soak up all your knowledge, tell us what to do, and we're going to do it? Like, do you honestly think Brady was the better decision over Winston? Not just because of interceptions. I'm talking, like, future-wise. I'm talking, because Brady's here 1-2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the best decision for the long haul? Because we don't know what the draft's going to entail. Chad Forbes said Jacob Eason and stuff. But
right.
What if we don't draft? Or what if we draft a 6th-rounder and it's not Tom Brady?
Right.
Do you think it's the best decision overall?
I think it's the best decision because it's the best decision for the team. Tom Brady is a better quarterback than Jameis Winston, period. That's all you have to say. Tom Brady is better than Jameis Winston. That's it. Period. End of story. So that's really what it came down to. It's not about future. It's not about this. It's not about that. It's not about interceptions. It's Tom Brady's a better quarterback, and he's going to help this team be more successful because of his ability and his play on the field and off of it. So just a better player, and you upgrade. When you can upgrade, you upgrade, and that's what the Bucs did.
I agree. I mean, I know a lot of people are talking about the decline of his play in the past
There's
couple
no
years.
there's no decline. You watch the tape, there's no decline. The guy still got it.
I mean, I guess we're gonna have to do another film study because we're gonna keep
Yeah.
spreading the. And guys, if you're looking about when we're gonna bring another film study, I'm thinking Jedrick Wills will be our next film study because I did a lot of film study on him, and he's my OT1, I guess you would say. But I mean, with the draft, I surely hope we don't take Josh Jones 14th overall. I mean, I talked a lot. Let it go, Plus. Tell me what your true opinion is on
that. Josh Jones at 14?
Jones at 14. His talking about like other guys we like about Josh Uche, and then
I like.
We're going to take second round and.
I'm not sure on the Jacob Eason unless he falls to like, the
not
third round.
Not 14 or first round at all.
No. Yeah, I'm talking day 2. Like the day 2 guys, Josh Uche, I could see. Obviously the running backs that you mentioned, Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Cam Akers, and then, Jacob Eason as a potential quarterback. I mean, maybe. But Josh Jones at 14, I don't know. I guess I'd have this kind of same reaction I did last year of Devin White at 5. I'd be kind of disappointed, but again, I'd be happy to be surprised. So, I get it if that's who they have to take, if they're forced to take that guy at 14 and, they can't trade down and they feel he's the best player and gives them the best impact right away, then I could see it. But, first reaction, I'd be disappointed, obviously.
Or something he said, only 2 quarterbacks top 10.
I see 3. I see 3 going top 10. I see Hubert and Tua going back to back. I mean, unless he feels the Chargers are going to take an offensive lineman, and that would make sense since he feels the top 4 linemen are going to be gone. That would be the way to do it if it was going to happen. But yeah, I could easily see Tua falling just because of the medicals. But he is the better player, obviously. I still think he's the best quarterback in the class. Right there with Joe Burrow. And then, Hubert, I think, is good enough. He's just got to work on some little things, but I think he's got a lot of good stuff. And then Jordan Love, I think, is being slept on. I think he's got a lot of upside. But again, it goes about that potential versus, what you are right now kind of thing, risk versus reward. But yeah, I see 3 quarterbacks.
All right, so what if Tua is at 14? What if by some chance?
Oh man, if he's
some crazy chance, people just couldn't make a pick because their bandwidth went out, and their kid clicked the power button on the computer. Oops, pass. What if he's there at 14? What do you do as a Buck?
Yeah, that'd be.
What do you do?
That'd be funny, like if there are like hacks in this draft because it is going to be like on Zoom or something like virtual, and like I don't know, that would be the Bucs. Someone hacks the Bucs and they pick like Shea Patterson first round or something like that. So, but yeah, getting back to Tua, I mean, if he's there at 14, I think I hope they would consider it. Either that or trade down with someone that wants a quarterback like the Patriots and like take all their picks, something like that. I don't know, but yeah, I would consider 2 at 14. That'd be an ideal scenario. I mean, you could redshirt him the first year and then have him for next year ready to lock and load if you want to move on from Brady or maybe just let Brady play out his contract and then you have Tua sitting there like Aaron Rodgers. So I'd be happy with it.
That'd be a scenario. I don't think it's even possible, considering he was the first overall pick. I mean,
yeah, I find it hard to believe he makes it past 6 overall. I think either Miami or San Diego takes him. Or sorry, Los Angeles. I keep saying San Diego.
You shit the bed. And then Robert Green said it's Herbert, bro, not Hubert. It's not
Sorry.
Heward, it's Herbert.
Herbert.
There you go. But
Yeah.
I guess last thing, do you like the uniforms okay, or they could have been better? Oh, never mind. There's another question, but go on the...
I love the uniforms.
Me too. That's all you had to say. There's
Yep.
Michael Treeman. I haven't heard this name, so thank you.
What up, Mike?
Nice to meet you in the chat. He says, everyone is so stuck on us drafting Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and it really makes me scratch my head when I look at his size and 40 time and compare him with other backs. Any back would look good for LSU. What is your take on that?
Don't look at size and 40 time. There's a lot more to running back than size and 40 time. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a complete back. The guy can do it all. He's quicker than fast, and that's all you need. He knows how to read holes, his vision. I recommend checking out our YouTube channel, checking out Clyde Edwards-Helaire film study. It will show a lot more than just size and 40 time.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with him. Check out our film study of him. I mean, yes, he doesn't have long speed. I believe he ran a 4.6, and he's smaller. MJD was smaller, but he had some long damn speed. The thing is, he has natural hands. He has great center of just change of direction speed, balance with his moves. I mean, once he makes a decision, it's done. And he's got great vision. I mean, he's got a total package. He just doesn't have deep speed. I mean, not many people are gifted with Henry Ruggs' speed. I mean, that's one of the things where you just can't teach it. They just got it, right? It's God-given. But, I mean, we're not saying first round. We're saying second, maybe. I don't think he'd make it the third, but
Right.
it'd be a perfect fit for what Tom Brady likes to do. It'd be a perfect fit for what we don't really have as in a pass catcher. Even though Ronald Jones looks like he's been working on it a lot, I don't agree that Ronald Jones is a bust at all. Michael Truman says, so you think he's better than the other backs, Swift, Dobbins?
No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I think DeAndre Swift is RB1, and then you have, Dobbins, you have Jonathan Taylor. All three of those guys are really good. And Cam Akers, I think, maybe that's someone the Bucs prefer. I mean, Chad talked about him as being a potential target, and he does have speed. He's got long speed. So, the Bucs, maybe they like a guy with more speed, but we're just talking about fit from a fit standpoint. I mean, Edwards-Helaire is something you would like to have on this team just because he would fit so well with what Ronald Jones can do already on the field. So it'd be a nice match. But yeah, I mean, they could go after any of the backs. I mean, Dobbins I think is really good. Another complete back. Jonathan Taylor fits the bill as well. DeAndre Swift, same thing. So there's a lot of good running backs in this class. It doesn't have to be Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, I mean, we're not like we're stuck on him and saying, oh, if we don't take him, that's the end all be all. Our draft sucks. I mean, we're not thinking that at all. Yes, if Jonathan Taylor's there in the second round, I'd jump on him. I think Jonathan Taylor is like one of the top, if not the top running back. And yeah, Swift, Dobbins, I agree with you. Those are better all-around running backs. But if they're off the board and we're in the second round and Edwards-Helaire is there, I have him really, really, really high value. And a lot of people say he's too small, he can't block, but he brings a lot to the game. And you can teach blocking.
Right.
Yeah, you can't teach size, but you can teach technique. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Everyone wants, give me something you can't teach.
Yep.
Well, he's got amazing vision. He's got amazing quickness. He's got amazing just will to win. I mean, a lot of people saw that in Jameis Winston, but he just didn't produce it on the field every Sunday. But it's just, we've got a couple more questions actually coming. I mean, we're just really big fans of him. If you want to see it further, just go check out our film study of him. X-Clue Garvey says again, us as fans know we need a tackle, but I don't think BA or Jason is too concerned with O-line. I don't think it's a lock. We got tackle even if one is there. Jason is unpredictable.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. I mean, he did trade up for a kicker, so anything's on the table always with the Bucs. But it's just gonna depend on how the draft falls. I mean, last year we could it would be easier to predict last year's pick because we were at
Go
5,
high.
and you could pretty much tell who's going to be available this year. I mean, we really don't know, and plus the process is so unpredictable now because of we don't have workouts, we don't have private visits. They're doing a lot of Skype meetings and stuff like that, so really don't know what is true and what's not. I mean, there's a lot of smoke that could be blowing either direction for certain prospects. So anything's possible. I mean, we could see a lot of movement. We could see no movement. You could see quarterbacks, receivers go top 10. All that stuff is in play. So it just really depends on how everything falls.
I think he's right about we're slightly unpredictable, but more of the second round. I mean, like I mentioned, who knew Sean Murphy bunting?
Right. Yeah, no one thought that.
Right? I mean, Mike Edwards. Anthony Nelson. We liked Anthony Nelson a lot, but no one was really talking about him. I mean,
correct.
So, I mean, these were names where, besides the first round, you don't really hear anyone's name. Mm-hmm. And now we're in the middle of the first round. When we drafted Vita Vea, didn't anyone think we were going to draft him? Everyone thought Derwin James. Everyone thought that was who we were going to pick, and we fudged up for not taking him. So, I mean, at 14, you never know. I mean, I'm hoping, like Chad said, I mean, Javon Kinlaw falls, and because of character concerns. I mean, to me, I see the same path that Peyton Barber took, but a guy that has everything you can't teach and something you just need to tell him, okay, use these God-given gifts. And here he has displayed it big time. He's a top 10 talent, in my opinion. If his knee concerns and character concerns drop him, I'm okay with taking him.
Yeah.
But one other question. This is from Skip33758. He says, I prefer a back that replaces Rojo, not complements him. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like, the days of like the cowbell running back, I'm just not sold on, anymore. I think those days are gone. I think you need a stable of backs that can do multiple things. Ideally, you want backs that can do everything. That way they can be interchangeable. So, yeah, I mean, I understand what he's saying. I mean, he wants a more talented back, I guess, than Rojo, but I think Rojo's still pretty good. I think he just lack of opportunities to really showcase what he can do has hurt him so far.
And I agree with you. I mean, like, we're not looking for replacement. I don't think you need to be worried about replacing and just
I think you just want to add to the position.
Yeah, I mean, where can you find upgrades of what you don't really have right now? Right? So, I mean, you don't have a great pass catcher. You don't have a shifty guy that can make something happen out of nothing. And Rojo did show that sometime. What was that? I think it was a 49ers game where he caught one pass. It was like 3rd and 15 or 3rd and 20. He got the first down.
Yeah, he got 25 yards.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't necessarily think it needs to be draft everything offense. But then again, Chad said a lot of things last year were like, and I fought it, and it ended up coming to fruition. But
yeah, ends up being right.
So I'm hoping it is between offensive tackle and Javon Kinlaw, and they go, I don't know. But so then also Robert Green also said he told us about Vita Vea. Other outlets like those think Ron Jones is a bust. Yeah. And then Exclu Garvey said again, who's available at the running back position in free agency?
Don't think we're looking there right now. I think free agents pretty much are put on hold. It's kind of like what Chad says, just market and value. I think you'll maybe see a couple guys added once we get closer to training camp and stuff like that. And hopefully we're on schedule for a season. So I think that's just wait and see. I don't think there's really any targets as far as running back goes.
Robert Green again. Jones caught a lot of passes and took them for big gains. I fully agree with that. I mean,
he did.
The fact that he said Ronald Jones is a bust off of a 1 year of production, I totally disagree. I mean,
right.
I even kind of gave the case, and I'm not going to just get in severe arguments with people, but unless it's plus. I mean, if it's plus, I'm going to get pissed off. But I mean, hey, I'm just trying to get opinions from outside perspectives to see what people think. And in my opinion, I think actually no. Where is this? I can't even get it.
Well, we're going to tell that news to our next guest that we have lined up, and I guarantee you he's gonna agree with us. He's gonna fight that Ron Jones is not a bust.
I mean, oh, here it is.
In my opinion, that sucked.
Exactly.
I mean, that's all you can kind of say. I mean, Ronald Jones got better and better as the year went on. I mean, the first game he did really good. Then all of a sudden they were like, oh no, we're going to give the Peyton Barber the ball. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, why did you take the ball away from him? And then you give him the ball again, he starts doing well. I mean, the Rams game, he looked like a beast. Last game of the year, he looked like a beast. I mean, give him the ball more, give him more touches, and see what happens. He doesn't need to be a bell cow, but just give him more opportunities. That's to me, it's all you need. Cutter didn't obviously know it. BA found out, obviously based off of the offseason, saw what he could do. Mm-hmm. It's just giving him, again, we can't be down so much. We got to be able to run the ball. So, and then efficiently, okay? So, I do not think he's a bust at all. And then Robert Green one more, he said not enough opportunities. Again, like I said, maybe if the former starting QB actually saw him more often. That is a big, big point. And that is something where I can't wait to see this season if it is actually true. Like, so all the Jameis supporters, we initially were one and then fell out of love, and I guess initially, or not initially, and then eventually became Jameis haters. What if Tom Brady ends up making this offense run amazing, hitting little dumps to Rojo or Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Brandon McClellan, I see you.
Yep.
What if little dumps like that go for 10 yards, and then all of a sudden people get pissed off about the little dumps that are going for 10 yards? And then Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Scotty Miller get these 30, 40, 50-yard chunks. Because everyone it's the same concept the Patriots do. It's just the decision-making of your quarterback and personality of your quarterback, thinking, oh, I need to hit a home run every time, or let me get single, 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 and then when I see my bread and butter, I'm going to hit a home run. I mean, that's the mentality that we have been seeing. I just don't think many Buck fans have been seeing it. They just then think they blame it on Bruce Arians and Byron Leftwich for messing them up. I mean, once the ball is hiked, they don't have any say. They just drew up the play. It's does the man with the ball in his hands execute it correctly? That's the only thing. And
I
don't think he really did.
Nope. And it's like I said earlier. I mean, the Bucs. It wasn't a thing. It wasn't a decision between Jameis Winston versus Tom Brady. It was a decision for the Bucs and how to make this team better. And Tom Brady is clearly better. Yeah, Tom Brady's clearly a better option. So they went with the better option, and they feel he's a better player. And that's what you do as a franchise. You try to get the best players you can on your team. Tom Brady's one of them. So now we see what happens.
You better check your sheet.
No, but I
mean, I bet he's checking his sheet a lot these days.
I'm balling.
Well, I mean, I don't mean to bash. Okay, so I'm not gonna insult to injury. To me, it's
not bashing. We're just spreading the truth. I mean, Greg Allman brought up a tweet today about the running game and how the running game of the Patriots and the Bucs are pretty much the same last year.
We said that last year too. But we're on YouTube. We're on just solely a podcast.
Right. And it just goes into our point of how the running game does not really matter. I mean, it doesn't affect the quarterback decision-making. No matter how good the run game is, a quarterback could still throw a pick on any play. It's about making the right reads and the right choices on the field. And the run game, yes, it helps, but doesn't decide if a quarterback throws a pick or not.
Decision making, I kind of made my point. I shouldn't have to repeat it again.
Right.
Well, I mean, we're going to find it out this year. And, I mean, as the draft approaches, guys, we're going to keep pushing out more film study, more whatever you guys want us to do. Tweet us, join our Facebook, do whatever you want. I mean, just ask questions and we'll look deeper into it. I mean, obviously, with this time that we're in, some people are unemployed. Some people just have hours being cut. I'm one of those. And it's just like, we want to fill our time with something. And Tampa Bay Buccaneer football is what we love talking about and literally live and breathe. We've been doing this for, 2 years now, but living and breathing Bucs football for a lifetime.
Right.
It's just being able to have a platform to do it. So if you want to join, I mean, there's links down below. Just join our groups. Ask us anything. Ask us what we should look into next. I mean, obviously, offensive line is the help, but does it really need to be first round? That's the question that we've all been debating. But this draft has got me hyped. I think it's got everyone hyped. How do you feel before we head on out, plus?
Yeah, no, I'm ready. I mean, we're only a couple weeks away from it. You know, it's exciting that it's on the way. I just hope everything runs smoothly as far as this online, you know, process that they're going to be going through, and hopefully everything runs good, and you know, you don't hear any like complaints afterwards. I'm sure there will be complaints regardless, but yeah, I just hope like the coverage and everything runs smoothly, and I'm sure it will. I know ESPN and NFL Network, they're going to do a great job. I think we're going to be probably live streaming over the draft, so that'll be fun. So it'll be different and exciting. But yeah, I'm ready for it. You know, only a couple weeks out.
Yeah, be prepared for a lot of beers or a lot of, I don't know what I'm going to have, but 14's a long wait, guys. So there may be some fireworks going on at 14. But other than that, guys, go Bucs. Enjoy your week. Hope you enjoyed the podcast, and we'll see you in the next one.